welcome you all to the Board of Education meeting on December 13th, 2021, in elementary school. Mr. Bigham, can I get a roll call, please?
Mr. Abbott, Mr. Bratton,
Present.
Mr. Jimmy Johnson,
Present.
Mr. Rod Johnson,
Present.
Mrs. Sherman.
Present.
And pledge allegiance, please.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Item 4, approval of the agenda. We do have one minor correction. If you go to page 5, that is 11B. The 1/5/2022 Board of Education organizational regular meeting is at the BC Middle School, not elementary, at the middle school meeting center. Is that it? Anybody have anything else? Can I
No,
get a
sir.
motion, please?
So moved.
Second. Motion made by Mr. Sherman, seconded by Mr. Jimmy Johnson. Mr. Bigham, roll call.
Mrs. Sherman?
Yes.
Mr. Jimmy Johnson?
Yes.
Mr. Rod Johnson?
Yes.
Mr. Bratton?
Yes. Item 5, approve the minutes from the November 8th, 2021 regular meeting. Anybody see anything?
Mm-mm.
Change that you did? I'll make a motion. Thank you. Can I go second? Second. Motion made by Mr. Rod Johnson, seconded by Mr. Jimmy Johnson. Roll call, please.
Mr. Rod Johnson?
Yes.
Mr. Jimmy Johnson?
Yes.
Mrs. Sherman?
Yes.
Mr. Bratton?
Yes. On to item number 6, public participation. And tonight we have performing arts and music boosters, Mr. Falvo and Mrs. Mullins.
Mrs. McDermott.
Thank you, Mrs. McDermott. You are.
Okay. Alright. It has been an exciting year this year after a year of minimal instruments and singing last year and moving classroom to classroom. It's really nice to be in a real music space, which has given us a lot of room for different opportunities this year. So far, all of our students in grades K through 5 have performed for Veterans Day, and then just last week, K and 1 performed with standing room only for their holiday program. So those were 2 exciting performances. Now we're on to more of our curriculum-based side of things. Thanks to our wish list item being purchased, we have 30 ukuleles bought by the school district, actually 35 because we ended up adding 5 more at the beginning of the school year. And students in 4th and 5th grade are learning to play the ukulele this year instead of recorder. They are doing a really nice job with it. I've already had students test out of the first level, and so we'll be doing that probably through March. Mr. Rozeski and I are looking into how to get that out to parents, maybe having an in-school parent day to showcase the ukulele learning. And this year has been and will continue to be an exciting year for music here at the elementary. That's all we got.
I can tell
Awesome.
you've already heard about the excitement that you built from one of your students that lives in my house.
That was my goal.
That was a great change.
My wife was looking at Amazon the other day for you.
Good evening. There's a lot to be proud of in our instrumental music department at BC. We are coming off a very historic marching season where we broke school records on our way to being ranked #1 in the state for our school size and category. Not only did the Marching Bulldogs have an unbeaten run in OMEA competition against schools our class size, but we consistently outscored bands of Division I size schools. So it was a really fun year. We topped off our marching season by going to Orlando. Every 4 years we travel to Orlando. We marched in, you probably saw on some of the social media, we saw marched in Magic Kingdom. But the most fun I think that I had on the trip, and I think the kids did too, is we don't just go down there and have fun. They were involved in a workshop in Universal. Now I can't put that on social media without us getting sued. So, so I told the kids, show your parents, but we can't. I wanted to bring it tonight. I was talking to Mark about how to get the show for you guys, but what we did is we went out onto a sound stage at Universal, and they showed the kids exactly how they put music to a animated feature film. And so they gave us music a couple weeks ahead of time. I had headset with a click track on, which basically kept the tempo that they had to have so that it would match the video of the movie. Did that. This was a little bit different from what we've done before in our workshops at Disney, where this was actually going over going over Foley art. So basically that is, how do you put sound effects in these things? You know, what you think is feet aren't feet and that type of thing. So the kids got to do that. So we recorded the music for the video. We went ahead and did most of the sound effects for this short 2-minute clip, but then also the voiceovers, like the kids see in split screens when you're watching whatever it might be, Moana or whatever, and then you see the actual actor doing it. Well, we did that, and they got to see that and how it's all done, and then they put it all together. And so there's a 2-minute film that I probably should have sent to you today. I have it. If you guys want to see it, I can send it to them and he can ship it out to you guys. But it's really neat, and everything that you see and hear, except for the voice of the mad scientist, is all being done by Bloom Carroll people.
I'd love to see it, if you'll send it.
Okay.
I'd love to see it.
It's really, really neat. So yeah, I will send that to you.
Yep.
That's cool.
I'll get it out.
Tomorrow morning, or I'll just send it to you, didn't I, on your email. Let's see, last Tuesday evening, we presented our annual Christmas program, where we closed with our finale of all bands, grades 6 through 12. There were 230 band members on stage, and a whole lot more in the auditorium. Tried to get it moved, because our band program has expanded since we did it 2 years ago. Tried to get it moved end of October, November into the gymnasiums, but those were already filled. Next year, if we're going to do it combined, we're going to probably have to do it in gymnasium, because it was pretty full. In addition to the instructional time at school, the bands perform it over 40 times a year as a goodwill ambassador of the school to the entire state, district, and community. We are currently transitioning into the concert band season and our jazz season this month. With all the growth and excitement comes some very important issues that we're coming across within the band program. One is facilities. Prior to all of our time here at BC, the band program, although much smaller, had 2 specific instructional rooms, one at the high school and one at the middle school. When the new middle school was built, every other department upgraded facility and space, while the performing arts department downgraded in educational space and storage. The entire district band program has been jammed into one room at the high school. With the continued growth of our band program and enrollment and equipment, this is a major cause for concern. Staffing. I currently teach 9 classes, which totals over 294 students. I'm the only full-time instructional musical educator in our district. This is an overload of responsibility, but it's been different in the past. Bloom Carroll has had 2 instrumental music educators, and the return of this educational commitment could only strengthen the offerings to our students. This is my 27th year as a music educator, and I've come to find that the educational realm as a whole tends to be more reactive than proactive. As you may have noticed at band contests this fall, football games, and other community performances this year, several school band programs are suffering in enrollment, quality, and support. Bloom Carroll leads in educational performance, athletic success, and in our performing arts. Contentment with the status quo means to be slowly going backwards until you realize that you are behind. Yes, we are currently successful, but let's feed the program now in a proactive approach instead of scrambling to fix it in a reactive role when it's too late. If you look at any solid band program across the United States, for an extended period of time, there stands a very knowledgeable, committed, and supportive administration. Please help me help the students to continue our achieving at the highest level possible as we grow into the future. Thank you for your time. Merry Christmas.
Thank you.
Thank you, great job. Appreciate the report.
Hello, I'm Kathleen McDermott. I am the Music Booster Secretary, and I am speaking for Stephanie Herman, the Music Booster President, who could not be here tonight. So she says, greetings. The 2021-22 Music Booster budget shows the booster spending $53,000, which includes portions for the instrumental, vocal, and elementary music programs, as well as expenditures for concessions, our band contest, and other items and events we pay for and support. The budget shows us bringing in $56,000 through catalog fundraisers, football and men's basketball concessions, restaurant fundraisers, the choir dinner showcase, and the marching band contest that we host. We'd like to thank you for the financial assistance through the Pepsi money that allowed us to meet the remaining amount of the $50,000 marching band uniform cost. We are grateful for the money that you gave the music department for new instruments and choir risers. These instruments and equipment would not have been in our budget for quite a while, and the instruments specifically allow advanced students to thrive by being able to play a variety of high-quality instruments. Again, thank you for supporting the music programs in this way. As you heard from Mr. Falvo, fall was busy and the Music Boosters were right there the whole way. First of all, thank you to Mr. Hahn for sending our start of the year newsletter to the district through Final Forms. We hope to have an additional one to send out in January or February. Also, we are exploring a Music Booster website so everyone will know exactly where to go for information from the Music Boosters. Ideally, we could post our Music Booster minutes and volunteer needs on it. This fall, we had a tremendous volunteer help at our band contest, in the concession stand, and at our catalog delivery sale. The fall requires a lot of volunteer hours, and our parents and community members stepped up in a big way, and we thank all of them for that, and especially Debbie Gruddy, who is our concession chairman. She and her family devote countless hours to our organization and the BC community. Our difficulties were felt in the loss of two particular women. First, Teresa Farabee was our fundraising chairman for over 3 years. Her last BC child graduated in 2021, and she decided to step away. The second is Tammy Cates, who is stepping away for personal reasons. Tammy has been involved with the Music Boosters for over 8 years and was our uniform chairman. She also organized the band competition that we host. Tammy was able to accompany the band to Florida as our on-site nurse and is helping us when she can. The Music Boosters thank both of these women for their many years of volunteer service. That being said, we have been scrambling to find someone with knowledge of how to fit students for band uniforms, dresses, and tuxedos who is willing to maintain inventory and organize cleanings. We also desperately need a fundraising chairman. Our president, vice president, and secretary have been handling this position. The biggest problem with fulfilling this position is that people like to volunteer for a few hours here and there, but no one wants to be in charge and devote the hours needed. The good news about the 2021-22 season is that concession sales were great due to the large crowds at the games, and we did make a lot of money on our fall catalog fundraiser. We will be looking at those numbers more closely over the winter break to see how much we still need to earn this spring to break even on our budget and to proactively start saving for new uniforms. Choir dresses and tuxedos and jazz tuxedos will be our next uniform purchase in approximately 3 to 5 years. For the second half of the school year, the Music Boosters would like to wish Mr. Yoder and the cast of the Addams Family Musical the best of luck as they prepare that production, as well as good luck to the Jazz Ensemble and Jazz Orchestra as they start their season. Thank you for your time, and we look forward to seeing a lot of people at the men's basketball games where the Music Boosters will be running concessions. Thank you.
All right, thank you.
Item number 7, treasurer's recommendations and reports, Mr. Bigham.
Okay, thank you. Item A is approve the November financial statements for a total expense of $10,879,719.70, including just under $8.5 million in consortium expenses. As I stated on page 13 in the packet, not a lot of activity typically in November and December, some of the lowest revenue months of the year, so it's really just kind of a time to look at how we're running both revenue and expenditure-wise as compared to budget. As you can see here on the summary, revenues have exceeded estimates by just over $79,000. November is really the largest salary expenditure month of the year, with all the fall supplementals that we pay has those seasons end, and we pay those coaches certainly with their hard work and all the advisors. So that's the reason. If you look at the salary expenditures, it's a little higher than normal. And again, we're running just a tad over budget, close to $29,000. Also has of the end of November, and you can see those on page 16 in the green report if you wanted to look in more detail. Again, as we have a lower revenue month, the carryover gets decreases a little bit, just over $5.4 million as of November 30th. So again, not a lot within the financials in November. So with that, I'll open up any questions with the financial statements or any of the checks written during the month.
I'll make this motion. Can I have a second, please? I'll second. Motion made by Mr. Bratton, second by Mr. Rod Johnson. Roll call, please.
Mr. Bratton?
Yes.
Mr. Rod Johnson?
Yes.
Mr. Jimmy Johnson?
Yes.
Mrs. Sherman?
Yes.
Item B is approve the allocation of the November 2021 interest rebates from the qualified school construction bonds as follows: to be deposited in the bond retirement fund $410,205. As I've said throughout the year, semi-annually, we receive these rebates from the bonds that were used to construct the middle school, but it does require board approval to put the rebates into the bond retirement fund, thus, again, driving that millage down from those bonds that were passed in 2010.
Questions? The motion?
Second.
Motion made by Mr. Jimmy Johnson, second by Mr. Rod Johnson. Roll call, please.
Mr. Jimmy Johnson?
Yes.
Mr. Rod Johnson?
Yes.
Mrs. Sherman?
Yes.
Mr. Bratton?
Yes.
Item C is approve the athletic turf replacement project with Field Turf as competitively bid through the AEPA contract number 20 at a total cost of $444,270.46, which we will finance through our permanent improvement funds over a maximum 4-year lease term. Page 26, there's quite a few things that we included in the packet. I won't go into it. Obviously, we went through this in the planning session, as Mr. Hans pulled it up here. 26 is the rendering that we chose. We've scaled back the end zone, the colors on the letters to help drive down the cost, but the majority of the design is the same from what you had seen in the planning session. The next 2 pages are the contract specifics, including the specs that we chose. Again, as Mr. Hahn, Mr. Little, and myself went through this, we feel like with the due diligence that we took, that we were comfortable with Field Turf, we're comfortable with these specs. The Vertex Prime, we did choose that as an add-on. We felt like that was, from a safety standpoint, most importantly, from a durability standpoint, and from an aesthetic standpoint were the 3 factors that we looked at. And as you can see there, page 38 actually describes what the Vertex Prime, how it's separated out from the other.
Is that the one that this plays better for soccer?
Yes,
Okay.
exactly. It's more of a true ball roll for
Right.
soccer.
Okay.
The main part of it is it's got the highest safety rating for impact.
Mhm.
So
Good.
it's also got some sand. You can see it's got some sand, rubber, silica that is combined with the one on the left here. And you can reuse that sand and rubber mix next time we replace the turf. Whoever is here 10, 12, 13 years from now, that sand can be filtered, reused. It saves, in today's dollars, it saves about $10,000 on the back end when you don't have to purchase all that new infill, but this can be reused. It also drains a lot faster, I think 40% porous compared to the standard pack of 3%. So those are some of the main things.
If you get a
What's the warranty on that as far as?
7 years.
7, yeah. If you go to page 38, Mr. Hahn, if you, again, that describes that's at the bottom left is the Vertex
Prestige.
Prime.
Oh, right there.
And as Mrs. Sherman has noted there, as it says, the third to last line facilitates grass-like ball roll. Again, for soccer, that helps.
Mhm.
And also stands up better. And again, the safety rating, we felt like, we really wanted to put our resources mainly into the safety, of course. So, any questions
On the bill that said donated, what, the markings?
Yeah, some of those things they had.
They just threw it in?
They just threw it in.
They did, okay.
Yes. Anything obviously that says donated.
Okay, I didn't know if that was local or giving us a deal.
Yeah, it's just all the white lines. They're just not.
Cool.
There's not a charge for it. I'm sure there is somewhere. You know what I mean? So,
But
I think something important to point out is when the district, I wasn't here, Travis was the only one here in terms of employee or part of the board. The district put the turf in 11 years ago. They got 11 years out of it. They were supposed to get about 7. So we've used it 4 years longer. It's really matted down. It's still safe, but it's a much harder turf and fill material than what we can provide now and what most schools have in terms of safety for our student athletes. And even the band uses it every day as well.
What's the timeline?
Well,
Next summer, it would
Yeah.
be somewhere in mid-June takes about 3 to 4 weeks to put in. It should be done by mid-July.
But like anything else, it was imperative to get on their schedule and get.
Absolutely,
Right now,
yes.
so we're,
Yeah, I
we're
mean,
right.
even adding that Veritex, what was the upcharge? Because I thought I saw 25.
It was 20, yeah.
It was 25, right? Yeah, I mean, that's worth it, especially for all the
Yeah.
advantages of having that from a forest perspective and safety aspect of it. Any other questions? I'll make this motion. Can I get a second?
So moved, or second, sorry.
Motion made
I was
by Mr.
sneezing,
Bratton,
sorry.
seconded by Mrs. Sherman. Can I get a roll call, please?
Mr. Bratton?
Yes.
Mrs. Sherman?
Yes.
Mr. Jimmy Johnson?
Yes.
Mr. Rod Johnson?
Yes.
And finally, we're thankful to be able to recognize the following donation to the Bloom Carroll Local School District from Mark Weedy. 5 wiggle seats for the elementary school here, the occupational therapy room, at approximate value of $125.
Awesome.
That's great.
Can I get a motion? So moved.
Second.
Motion made by Mr. Rod Johnson, seconded by Mrs. Sherman. Roll call, please.
Mr. Rod Johnson?
Yes.
Mrs. Sherman?
Yes.
Mr. Jimmy Johnson?
Yes.
And Mr. Bratton?
Yes. Thank you, Mr. Bigham. Item number 8, old business. 8A, approve the following policies as presented 1 through 33. Any questions on those policies?
Is this the third reading?
Yeah.
Okay, that's what I thought.
Yeah, this is approval.
All right, I like it.
Can I get a motion, please?
So moved.
I'll second this one. Motion made by Mrs. Sherman, seconded by Mr. Bratton. Roll call, please.
Mrs. Sherman?
Yes.
Mr. Bratton?
Yes.
Mr. Jimmy Johnson?
Yes.
Mr. Rod Johnson?
Yes. Thank you. That brings us to item 9, superintendent's recommendations and reports. Mr.
Okay, so just a couple things. I wanted to follow up from last month, we had some public participation from a BCYA representative concerned about, or asking to make some improvements to the preschool and learning center gymnasium and the primary school gymnasium. I think the main concern was some time, which we kind of talked about the issues with time in our middle school, high school, and elementary school. But that seems to kind of work itself out once you get into the season and games start. It kind of frees up a little bit more time. But I wanted to let you know, we did bring in a company to take a look at the hoops, the backboards that were sticking that they could not really lower down. We had a company come in, work with our maintenance team, provide some new lubricant that won't gum up and lock those in place. So I think our maintenance crew has a good understanding of what they need to do. Those are now easy to adjust up and down, just cranking easily compared to not being able to move that at all. So there have been some improvements there. I just kind of wanted to give you an update on that. The COVID update, and again, what I'm talking about, what is on our website, are students or staff members who attended school with COVID during their infectious period, okay? So right now, we have 4 current cases, 3 at the high school and 1 in grades 3 to 5 with the staff and students over here in grades 3 to 5 on this end of the building. Wanted to let you know, our IT director let us know that we did pursue the Ohio Facilities School Safety Grant, and Mr. Thomas, our tech coordinator, has submitted that security grant application for all buildings. If you see any security improvements going on, we're talking about things at the high school like new security cameras, antivirus software, patch management software, authentication software. Bloom Carroll Middle School, security camera upgrades. Some are getting old, they're going out, they need to be replaced. UPS replacements at the preschool and learning center, security camera upgrades, installation of 3 sets of exterior doors on the 3rd grade wing, or what was the old 1960 portion, going in and out of the hallway there, and the classroom exterior door. And then at the elementary school here, I don't know, Travis, if you want to mention anything about this, but a network firewall for this building as well. So we're making use of that grant. It's probably a couple $100,000 in grant money to make those improvements. So
Wow, great.
just want to let you know about that. Staff absences, this time of year where, colds and flu and COVID. You know, it's been a challenge. Still waiting on OUL. It sounds like January 10th is when the second semester of OUL, that OUL will be making education majors in their third and fourth year available, probably a couple in each building that will be assigned here. It's still not clear how many days a week, but that'll help with some coverage. Again, just wanted to let you know we had a lot of concerts going on the last couple of weeks. The elementary concerts were outstanding. Mrs. Mullins did a great job with that. Mr. Yoder and Mr. Falvo did a good job with the choir and band in grades 6 through 12. He talked a little bit about the Florida trip, but that was a success, and again, a great learning opportunity. The kids just don't go in March down Main Street at Disney. They actually participate in workshops and learning opportunities. I wanted to congratulate the football team for reaching the state Final Four, again, a couple years in a row. You know, I wanted to let you know, I did communicate with you through email that Coach Bartholomew has decided to pursue some goals that he told us about when we hired him. He's really interested in getting into college coaching, believes he needs to kind of capitalize on the success he's had, and completely building our program to and establishing expectations where the kids step on the field and the community expects them to win, but more importantly, the kids expect to win now. And you know, it's going to be a challenge to find somebody, but you know, I do believe that we're all replaceable. That's not taking away anything from Coach Bart. He did a tremendous job. He did more than we even asked him to do. And you know, I just want to wish him the best of luck. And as he pursues his personal and professional goals, wish him and his family the best. He will be with us throughout this year teaching, but he's going to be pursuing some other opportunities. Just want to let you know, you guys approved us to work with cooperative strategies on the enrollment projections that we wanted to get updated. So Travis and Desiree Hughes, our ENIS coordinator, met with them and provided a lot of data so they could start that process. It'll probably be February before those projections come back. And I wanted to acknowledge the Bloom Carroll Pantry Mission, sometimes called the Bloom Carroll Shalom United Methodist Church Pantry Mission. Really wanted to recognize Wanda Mann, who is an educational aide here in grades K-2 at Bloom Carroll Elementary. You know, our school, and led by Miss Mann and the partnerships that she develops within the community, you know, they did a lot of good things since August. We've had the Pumpkins Helping People campaign, which is actually Trent Howard is a Bloom Carroll graduate, lives on Cedar Hill, but he's got some kids that came up with the Pumpkins Helping People campaign, where if you bought pumpkins from them, so much would be donated to the Canal Winchester Human Services Department, but also to the Bloom Carroll Shalom Food Pantry, based upon what zip code you live in. But the Bloom Carroll Shalom Pantry Mission earned $644 from the Pumpkins Helping People campaign. And the food drives at the middle school and high school, they have really kicked in a lot of non-perishable items to the pantry. Back to school supplies, Miss Mann and the Pantry Mission provided 34 children in our school district with back to school supplies, and 46 received a new coat to start the school year. And then this Christmas, we do Bless a Child here in our school district, and different groups get together, different buildings, different teams of people within the district, and we sponsor a child to provide a nice Christmas for them, for kids that are in need. There's 68 children in our school district that are being helped, and a lot of gifts and toys and things are being provided for those families to make Christmas special for their families. So that's all I have. Didn't know if you have any questions about anything. Obviously, we have to wrap up this week, and then the kids are off for a couple of weeks for winter break, and then we resume school on January 3rd.
Hey, Mr. Hahn.
Sure.
If I can tell you from a lithopolis point of view, we have a building project of 250 houses, as you mentioned, enrollment projection. You're probably well aware of the infrastructure is in place. They're selling the lots and houses even now. There's another 20-something houses that are going to be brought on board going north out of Lithopolis toward Canal Winchester. It's called the Meadows.
Right.
And so your enrollment's going to go up.
Yeah. We've been discussing guessing there's several other developments going on too, but, the Meadows there on Lithopolis, Winchester Road, there's 28 or 29 units. We've had discussions about those at planning sessions, also the other 240 some homes at Wagnall's Run, that are being sold off, the final phases of that.
Yep.
That's been almost a 20-year process now, but the other 200 homes are coming in. There's several other developments in Bloom Township and Greenfield. Right now, probably we're looking at about 350 units right now being added to the district, and we're continuing to plan. We've got some space in this building. We have some space in our middle school. We've got some plans for the high school to get through for a few years, but we will continue our facility planning. But I appreciate you. I appreciate being here, and I have talked to the village to verify. I get information from regional planning quite a bit. However, the villages do not go to regional planning, and I actually serve on the regional planning commission as well in Fairfield County. So I really stay on top of this, but yeah, I got to stay in touch with Village of Carroll, and my thought was to always see what developments are going on within their jurisdiction and approval.
Right. The rumor about the Meadows went from rumor to fruition in 8 months.
Yeah.
It caught us by surprise too. I think we got to start laying pipes.
Yeah. Well, you guys have had a lot of work there, right by the offices, right by the village offices, and that's that new entrance going back.
New
there.
entrance, and that's what, I saw it on Facebook, they're already selling off the property, so.
Yeah.
Yep.
Absolutely. Well, thank you for being here. Okay, let's go to 9B, students and programs. Amend the previously approved overnight trip dates for the varsity and JV boys basketball teams to Wellsburg, West Virginia, to December 29th through the 31st, 2021. It added one more night. Number 2, approve participation in the indoor track and field for the 21-22 school year to be supervised by the high school track coaches. So that's it.
Any questions? Can we get a motion, please?
So moved.
Second. Motion made by Mr. Rod Johnson, seconded by Mr. Jimmy Johnson. Mr. Bigham?
Mr. Rod Johnson?
Yes.
Mr. Jimmy Johnson?
Yes.
Mrs. Sherman?
Yes.
Mr. Bratton?
Yes. Okay, 9C, personnel and employment, approved substitute list number 5 for December 2021 as submitted by the Fairfield County Educational Service Center. Number 2, approve amending the job description of special services secretary and the district registrar as presented in your packet. Number 3, approve the following as substitute teachers for the 3rd grade after-school reading program for the 21-22 school year at the tutor hourly rate, and that's for Ellen Craner and Sarah Wooding. Number 4, approve Tom Sarsfield as a long-term substitute teacher for Megan Boytard at the high school effective November 18th, 2021 through December 17th, 2021. Number 5, approve the following requests for unpaid leave and dock days as presented, A through C. Number 6, approve the following FMLA leave requests for up to 60 days as presented, A through D. Number 7, approve the following classified substitutes for the 21-22 school year as presented, A through C. Number 8, approve the placement of Kay Noker, Capital University, for student teaching with Leah Cheek at the elementary school, January 10th, 2022 through March 4th, 2022. And Anna Parker at the high school, March 7th, 2022 through April 29th, 2022. Number 9, approve the following academic supplemental contracts for the 21-22 school year as presented, A through C. Number 10, approve the following athletic supplemental contracts for the 21-22 school year pending receipt of verifications and background checks, A through G. And number 11, approve the list of school volunteers for the 21-22 school year pending receipt of background checks.
Any questions on those items? I'll make this motion. Can I get a second, please?
Second.
Motion made by Mr. Bratton, seconded by Mrs. Sherman. Roll call, please.
Mr. Bratton?
Yes.
Mrs. Sherman?
Yes.
Mr. Jimmy Johnson?
Yes.
Mr. Rod Johnson?
Yes.
Okay, nothing under D, nothing under E. 9F, personnel resignations and retirements. Accept the retirement resignation of Connie Berta, high school secretary with 30 years of service to the district, effective May 31st, 2022. Can't say enough good things about Mrs. Bird, I got to work with her as a high school principal. She's really, just a wonderful person, but loves Bloom Carroll. We're gonna miss her. Again, tough one to replace. But she was a graduate at Bloom Carroll and eventually became a very long time high school secretary and cared for, did a great job to take care of the kids. And she'll be with us the rest of this year, but we're gonna miss her. We're gonna have to try our best to replace her this year. So, congratulations.
Can I get a motion?
So moved.
I will second. Motion made by Mr. Rod Johnson, seconded by Mr. Bratton. Mr. Bigham?
Mr. Rod Johnson?
Yes.
Mr. Bratton?
Yes.
Mr. Jimmy Johnson?
Yes.
Mrs. Sherman?
Yes.
Mr. Bratton? Okay, item number 10, approve blank. I'm comfortable serving as this president pro tempore till the next meeting. If that's okay with everybody.
I'll make a motion to nominate Mr. Bratton for the president pro tempore.
Get a second for that?
Second.
No. Rod, who
Motion
seconded?
made by Mr. Rod Johnson, seconded by Mr. Jimmy Johnson. Mr. Bigham?
Mr. Rod Johnson?
Yes.
Mr. Jimmy Johnson?
Yes.
Mrs. Sherman?
Yes.
Mr. Bratton?
Yes. Item 11, board reports and information, liaison updates, facilities and management, Mr. Rod Johnson.
Yeah, I think Mr. Hahn, just hearing some of the conversations and some of the studies that we're doing, I think probably the first quarter of the year, assuming that Mr. Abbott and I are still in this aspect of the committee, we should probably get together and kind of revisit. Let's update our facility plan, so if we can plan something, maybe that first quarter in 2022.
Item 2, personnel, labor management. OSBA representation, Mr. Rod Johnson, Mr. Sherman.
Just wrapped everything up with the November meeting, so everything's in good shape.
Policy, we just approved lunch, Mrs. Sherman, anything else?
No, glad that's
Oh, yeah.
done.
Yeah, we did. We finally approved that big dash.
Yeah.
We did get the new
PDQs.
PDQ, the Policy Development Quarterly from OSBA. The good news is, it only had one policy in it, and
What?
it was the graduation requirements for the newer, I forget which bill it was, Senate Bill 22, I think, required financial literacy to be taught as a half credit.
Mhm.
We approved that years ago. Financial lit is a half credit. It's a graduation requirement for Bloom Carroll students as
Okay.
a separate standalone class. That's what the state is now doing.
Gotcha.
So we
We're
don't
good.
have any policy that we need to adopt with
Right.
that. Any minor changes can wait until the next PDQ,
Sure.
which will be February. So it'll probably be, if you and Joe are okay.
Yep.
It'll probably be February before we get another batch of policies.
Sounds good.
Unless you wanna get together for one, that we don't need to.
Safety, health and wellness, Mr. What's not here, Mr.
Everything's good. Nothing really.
Finally, finance, Mr. Johnson.
Don't have any updates. Right now, we just met in October, so all good.
11B, upcoming PTO booster board of education meetings, 12/20 through 12/31 is winter breaks and there's school. And on January 5th is the Board of Education organizational and regular meeting at 6 p.m. at the BC Middle School Media Center. And January 10th, 22, athletic booster meeting at 7 p.m. in the middle school cafeteria. Item 12, can I get a motion to adjourn, please?
So moved.
Second. Motion made by Mr. Rod Johnson, second by Mr. Jimmy Johnson. Mr. Bigham?
Mr. Rod Johnson?
Yes.
Mr. Jimmy Johnson?
Yes.
Mrs. Sherman?
Yes.
Mr. Bratton?
Yes. Timeout 6:39 p.m.
Have a good Christmas.
You as
Good
well.
to see everybody. New Year.